everyone. This is Elizabeth from Old School and Eclectic. Welcome to my live stream. Hope you don't mind the weird angle. We're working on the floor today. This weird lighting, whatever. But today we're going to be blocking some lace. So we're going to start with the different tools that I have in order to do this blocking. First, there's a puppy who needs attention. Not necessary, but he thinks so. Next, we have our lace. It's in an ice cream bucket because I just washed it. So I just washed my tatted lace. So that's nice and wet, and it is being dried. I've washed my hands so they're clean. We need to be able to block on. So I have these floor mats, these puzzle floor mats that I will be using to pin into to be able to block them. I have my starching liquid. In here is like half a teaspoon of Elmer's glue, and then it's full up to like there with warm water. So that's what we're going to use to help solidify the appearance of the lace. Next, we have a whole bunch of dressmaker's pins. These are little, let's see here, where's good lighting? There we go. These are little tiny pins with just a little tiny head on them. So I have there's like 2,000 of them, like 1,000 in each box. So these are to be able to block them, to be able to get them in the right position. I have paper towels because I'm going to end up with icky glue water on my hands, and I'm going to want to wipe it off somewhere. Something else I do is I have blocking sheets, where these are basically printed papers with lines on them that help me to be able to block the lace in a straight line. That way it's nice and straight. I reuse these until they're basically dead. Like this one is almost, this one's on its last leg. This will probably be its last use. Since these are just paper and the lace is going to be wet and covered in glue, I don't want them to be glued to this. So I also have pieces of wax paper that I then pin over top of the paper as kind of a release layer. Again, I use these until they kind of die or the glue starts seeping through really bad. And so this is like one that's almost dead. So I have those, and those help me to be able to block neatly. Last thing is water, because hydration is important. I have, can you move, Winston? Thank you, buddy. So I have 2 strands of lace to block today. Each of them are 9 feet long, so that's 18 feet total, or 6 yards. This is one of the largest orders I've ever received on Etsy, so it's very exciting. This is only less than a quarter of the whole order, but I don't have enough pins to be able to block the whole thing in one go. So we're doing bits and pieces at a time. And the distance from here to that brown shelf right there is just over 9 feet. So it's just big enough in this little apartment to be able to do that much. Hi, Winston. Hello. Hi. You'd think he needs attention. Hi, buddy. Who's your good boy? If I can get just 12 more subscribers, by the way, I can start doing live streams and videos from my phone, which will greatly increase the quality and like the terrible lighting right now. So yeah, go ahead and join me while I start doing this. Hopefully, if he doesn't take over the entire live stream. Can you say hi? Say hi. This is Winston. He turns 5 on Friday. So 2 days. And he'll be 5 years old. He's a good boy. He groans when I hug him. Hi. You are in the way. Hello. Whenever my husband gets home from work and he sits on the floor to play with the dog, to play with Winston. And so now that I'm sitting on the floor, it's playtime, apparently. Hello. You are making this very difficult. You are making this very difficult. Yes, you are. Look at those little ears. By the way, if you're hearing droning in the background, that would be all the cicadas. I can do nothing about that sound. They're going to be around through July. Can you move? Thank you. Silly dog. First, I'm just laying out my mats so that they're all prepped. All right. Next, I have my lace here. So I gotta, both of them are kind of tangled up together. So I gotta pull one out on its own. Again, each of these is 9 feet long, so there's kind of a lot to it. I also don't want to stretch the lace too much because that'll actually like distort its appearance, and then it's going to take forever for me to get it looking nice again. Okay, there's 2 ends. There's a third end in there, but I don't know which ends go to which strand. Right, there's an end. So in order to wash this lace, ideally I would have like one of those little miniature washing machines where it's like foot pedaled or whatever, but those are actually like against my lease. I can't have those in this apartment. So I haven't gotten one. Instead, I just use an ice cream bucket where I half fill it with hot soapy water. I use dish soap, dish soap without any coloring to it because I don't want to accidentally stain the white lace. Ta-da! Got it separated. So I put it in hot soapy water and I agitate it like I'm mixing up the glue that has like precipitated to the bottom of the water. So I'm mixing it up. I put it in the hot soapy water, put the lid on it, and I shake it up, agitate it like a washing machine. And then I let it sit for a few minutes so that the soap can do its usual reaction of breaking down any oils from my hands while I was working on it, or anything dirty that might be on the lace. Now, when I'm working on this lace, especially the white lace, I'll always make sure to wash my hands before I work with it, just because I have learned from errors in the past that if you get the white lace dirty with certain things, it will not come off. Like it's a permanent stain. I'm not sure exactly what it was that stained the lace that one time, but it has never come off. So I'm very careful to make sure my hands are clean when I'm working with my lace. Just to make sure that it stays nice and that it's actually white. That is especially important for clients like one that I had last year where she was making ceremonial items for a Catholic church, like altar cloths, a pall. I'm not Catholic, so I'm not 100% sure. But so she was making ceremonial items that needed to be made out of clean, white, new materials. And so that was particularly important that the lace be clean and new for that particular order. So I'm always really careful about it. So right now I'm taking pins and I am lining up my lined sheets. So that way they'll form a whole row so I can just build up the lace along this line. I'm just pinning them in place. And then I'll put the wax paper over top of them. And I tend to use the oldest, gunkiest ones first. That way I use the old ones and I'm able to rotate through them. So if you have any questions, feel free to put it in the chat and I will do my best to answer. I don't know if you can see them. Right here I have, here and right here, I have a couple of pins and some tape on the mats. And I have them because if I put these two mats at either end of this line, I know that the distance between them is exactly 9 feet. So it helps me know how long I need to make my lace, or each strand of the lace. Now, technically, I can make this lace continuous, and I could make it as long as I want. I could make it hundreds of feet long without ever having to stop. But because I block my lace so it looks nice, I have to cut it at some point. And with the space of my apartment, 9 feet's the maximum. That's as big as I can go. Last one. All right. All right, so I have my starching water, my soap water, or my glue water. I have my lace. I put it into that. I want it to be fully submerged, so all of it gets saturated with the glue water. So that way it'll all be starched. Now I've considered using actual starch, like the old traditional starch, but that'll actually ultimately yellow over time. And I don't want my lace to yellow. So, so I use Elmer's glue, which studies have shown will not yellow. It just shouldn't yellow. So for me, it's the most color safe and the one that theoretically should look nicest the longest. So that's what I go with. Okay, so now I'm putting down wax papers as the release layer between the ruler that I put down and the wet glued lace. And we'll start working. Ow. Stabbing yourself with your pins is mandatory, by the way. We're nearly 18 minutes in and we're almost ready to actually start blocking. Oddly enough, when I calculated the cost of my lace as you see it in my Etsy shop, I actually forgot to include the amount of time that it takes to do this. So technically this part of the process is not included in the lace price. You're only paying for the time it takes to actually tat the lace. All right, we're gonna start with that. All right, next step is to find the right end. My lace does have a front and back, so I gotta find the correct end to be able to make this look right. All right, so that's the end I want. And now for thousands of pins, or hundreds of pins, not necessarily thousands. And I'm just going to keep the bulk of the lace in the glue cup or the starch cup because I don't want it to dry out. So it'll keep it nice and damp in there. this is the point where if I wanted to, I could stretch the lace a whole lot. And I know there are tatted lace makers who do that. Normally, the tatted lace is made of arches and loops, so just circles. But then people who want their lace to go just a little bit farther and measure a little bit longer than it actually is, they will stretch it out and make the loops into ovals. And I personally thinks it doesn't look very good. But I mean, if that's what you're looking for in your lace, go for it. Like I said, if that's what you're looking for, like you want a lace with ovals in it, then that's great. That's what you're looking for. But there's a part of me that feels like that's dishonest, so I don't like doing that. So I try and keep my loops as round as possible, or more teardrop shaped, which is kind of the natural form that these loops take because of the method of construction. So I'm taking one loop per pin, or one pin per loop, and getting it nice and flat and straight. And then every like 10 pins or 10 loops or so, I'll put one that is angled the opposite direction to make sure I don't overstretch the lace. And then I'll take another pin to straighten out all the little strings to make sure that it is all lined up. So like, I want to make sure that each of these little nibs is laying flat and is straight, and all of these strings here on the end end up looking nice. So that's what I'm doing as I'm blocking these. I'm trying to make everything lay nice and flat, nice and straight, to the point where if someone wants to sew this onto a garment, they can without having to fiddle with bits and pieces of it not laying nicely. I was going to do this live stream until I finish, but I think I'll cut it off at an hour just because it's a long time to work in silence. And this always takes longer than I think it's going to. So there's my locking pin, and now I go through and make sure everything I just pinned is laying flat. This one's popping up weird, so I'm going to put an extra pin in to make sure it stays where it's supposed to while it dries. And I keep going. This particular method that I use for starching and pinning is something I've developed over the last several years of making this lace, where this method is much faster than previous attempts. Previous methods I was using like 3 pins per loop instead of 1. And that was taking me like all day to be able to block just a few feet of lace. So this is a lot faster. Like I've already finished 1 foot of lace. And obviously that speed is important. If you're going to be including the amount of time it takes to do this in the cost, you want that to go as quickly and as efficiently as possible. I pinned it too loosely, so it wasn't actually doing anything. Again, if I can get 12 more subscribers, I'll be able to do this over my phone, or then I can like do an above view and you can actually really see what I'm doing. I have a couple of videos in my drafts folder on my phone where I filmed myself doing this, but I just haven't posted because I really, really hate editing. I really hate editing videos, which is why I don't post very often, because it's my least favorite thing. I realize it's one of my best marketing tools, but I hate doing it so much. Video editing is not why I got into this work. I got into this kind of crafting in Etsy because I enjoyed doing my crafts. I got onto YouTube because I figured it would be a great marketing tool for people to be able to see what it is that I'm doing. I'd love to get this first strand fully blocked by the end of the hour. I'd feel really good about that. The locking pin and straightening all my picots. Making sure everything's laying nice. There. And we keep going. Well, I guess we're doing that. It's a lot easier to pick up pins from a pile than it is from a container. See here, this one, because you can't see it, but this one, the picot was all twisted up and it would have looked different and not nice because it wasn't laying flat had I not blocked it to make sure that everything was nice and neat. About 2 feet done. 2 done. 16 to go. I don't know about you, but I'm at the point in my life where sitting on the floor like this is so uncomfortable. When I grow up, I really want like a crafting table that's like 10 feet long and 4 feet wide. That is a material where I can pin into it, I can iron on it. That is also sturdy enough that I can like lay out patterns and yeah. My mom actually has a table similar to what I want. It's more like, I think it's like 7 feet by 4 feet. So it's big, but it's not as big as I want. Especially since part of my reasoning for why I want such a big table is so I can block lace like this. And I can do it at standing height and not hunched over on the floor height. Well, this one is not sitting right, so we're going to pin that to make sure it's laying flat. Now, I never pin into the thread. I use the whatever angle I pin the pin in, whether it's going this way or this way, whatever angle I'm doing, I'm using it to hold down the thread so that way it doesn't move. If I were to pin through the thread that the lace is made of, it would cause a permanent hole. That would look really out of place. It would not look nice. I have run out of wax paper. Let's put down some more. Wax paper actually has a right side up and a wrong side up, and I pinned this one wrong side up, so I gotta flip it over. All right, we'll go with that. We're currently at 1, 2, 3, just around 3 feet of lace done. I'm dabbing the lace off because it's ended up so wet that it's got like bubbles. You know, like when you pull a bubble wand out of the solution, you have the film that's in the circle, and then that's how you blow the bubbles. I'm getting that same film in all the little loops, and I don't want that. So I'm dabbing out the film that's showing up. By the time that I'm done with this, I'm going to have a huge sore on my finger. All these pins. I know, because it's happened before. That, and I can feel it already forming. It's one of those things that I forget is going to happen until I start to hurt. It's like asking yourself, why don't I run anymore? And then you try running and you end up in a lot of pain, and you're like, oh, that's why. That's why I stopped. So it's 4 feet done. Ish. So this is now soaking wet, so I'm going to get a new one. Make sure my threads are laying nice and neat. It's not laying right, so I'll pin that. There we go. I was going to try and use my phone to keep track of live chat. Then fell asleep and never actually showed me going live. Something else I like to do when I'm blocking my laces, I also look for any lint that might have gotten caught or dog fur that might have gotten caught in the threads while I'm tatting. And I usually have a piece of tweezer or a pair of tweezers that I'll use to pick out anything that got caught in the threads. That way it is fully clean when I deliver it to the customer. That is almost 5 feet done. whole left leg is going numb. That's about 6 feet done. Ta-da! Okay. Only got about 3 feet left. Let's check on where we're at on time. 54 minutes. I'm gonna call it quits there. I still have 3 feet left on this first strand of lace, and then I have a second strand of the exact same length to do. So yeah, I'm only partway there. If you're watching this video, thank you for watching this far. I really appreciate your support. I know I've said it like 3 times already, but if I can get just 12 more subscribers, that's it, just 12 more, then I can start streaming from my phone and get some better videos. I tend to do live streams rather than actual videos because, again, like I said, I hate editing. So if I can just do a live stream and then just post the live stream, it's easier. Thank you all. I hope you have a good day and that you find an activity or craft to entertain yourself. Winston says goodbye. Come here. Nope, let's not step on the lace. Goodbye. Thank you, everybody.